Hello there. I wanted to share some information today and have a conversation with you, whether you're here live or watching a recording, getting you to think about some different things to do with work, life, living, how you're existing in the world. These are some of the topics that are of interest to me at the moment. I've been having conversations with people in workplaces and in mentoring calls in their business, and I thought I would bring these to attention here. So today's topic is about what would you do for free, not in terms of we want you to do more work for free. The world is full of lots of people who are providing incredible amounts of labour that's being underpaid and inequitable and unfair payment practices. That's not what this topic's about. There are many people speaking out and training and what have you on those sorts of topics. Not that I don't advocate for those topics, but today I wanted to help you zoom in on some of the things that might be more your style, more your speed about what you would do for free. So I want to share some key points with this today in these conversations. This is a picture of me a few years ago. Now it's over 10 years. It must be 12 or 13 or more, at the last conferences here in Australia. And gosh, this was, it came about because I met Ed Wong at a small group conference, a smaller event, and he and I were talking about what each of us do, and he said he was running an event, the last conference, standing for Lean, Agile, and Systems Thinking. And go have a look at lastconference.com because or .au, because you will find that has now blossomed over the years into an incredible range of events, an incredible community, a wonderful library of information and learning about all of the things that help us work better, live better, design better things. So this picture of me, I look at that and I go, wow, that, and someone took a photo of their sketch there on the right-hand side. So this was a workshop about visual collaboration. And any of you that know me would know that I don't mind visual skills. Now, this is not from coming from an artistic background, but it was from the collaboration and the communication potential that visuals have. And so there I am. I can see on the whiteboard, I've taped up some graphic recording paper. I've drawn a title and my name, and then I've created what I call that sort of master model of a Venn diagram, talking about how good visuals are to help you capture information, convey information, and collaborate with others. And to me, this was one of those things that I did for free. And what I was doing was really exploring my interest in, was this something I wanted to go, further down the path of? And now in my business and practice, I'm a professional speaker, trainer, mentor, and facilitator. And so doing something like that for free was an opportunity for me to test out some ideas with a great community. So I was able to test out, did anybody like this stuff? Was anybody interested in this information? Did I like this information? Did I like working with these ideas? And so it really gave me a great opportunity to try that kind of, oh, yeah, this was fun, or yeah, this worked well with people. So to me, it wasn't just an opportunity to do something for someone who said, hey, do you want to come and speak at this conference? It was also an opportunity for me to test out an idea, which I'm a huge fan of, for experimenting and testing things out. But not only testing it out for me, but also testing it out for the market and seeing, is this something that I enjoy doing? And so if it did become a paid thing in the future, would that be worth pursuing? But equally, could I just keep doing this sort of thing, that is speaking or presenting my ideas at conferences and not making it a job and not generating an income from it? So that idea, that's the first, I guess, story about what would you do for free, is that I absolutely did that for free and have continued to present at this conference over the years. And that's not to say I haven't also done some paid work with the last conference, training some speakers and being a keynote at one of their events, one or two of their events. So I don't know, it struck me as what would you do for free? And that was something that I absolutely did and continue to do with various groups, like this morning, who's paying me today to present this information. This is something I want to do, is to share this information and think about how might you look at the things that you do choose to do for free versus the things where exploitation and manipulation and doing things for free is not the thing that you want to do. I guess with greater consent, or with a consciousness of consent that, yes, I agree to do this work for free. Some other things I've done for free, these are more recently, is as a member of Impro Melbourne. Over the last couple of years, I've wrapped up that involvement now, but learned as a student for many years with them, watched many, many performances, and then also became part of their group called the Rookies, which works with the ensemble and puts on performances. And so the last 2 years I've been performing frequently on like a Saturday night. There'd be an improv show and working through different types of formats, because not every type of improv is the same style of show. And so that's something I did for free as a volunteer member that helps put together shows. And so really the topic of, what would you do for free? It isn't about working for nothing. As I said in this description, this is a tool, it's a thinking tool to help you uncover what's this. It must be some sort of deeper motivation going on here. And so the idea of you can change the lens with which you look at things, to me, working for free for something is that, oh, I love this so much, I would do it for free, as in monetary reward is one of the main reasons we might do something. But of course, there's so many other reasons we do something, for altruistic reasons, or purposeful reasons, or collaboration, or creativity, or for no reason at all. Maybe it just feels good, or we enjoy it. And this here also, that it drives you or it energizes you. And you would know for sure that you could draw on experiences that have absolutely drained you. I sure know that I have. I've got a few experiences popping into my mind where I go, yeah, that was not a good use of my time and effort and energy. In that afterwards, I go, no, not only do I not want to do that for free, I wouldn't even do that if they paid me. That is a huge indicator that maybe it's, the people, or the type of work, or how it's being delivered. I was doing some work for a great company in the weird hours of the morning. So yes, Australia's in the southern hemisphere and in a time zone that may not align with lots of other countries and businesses. But I was having to get up at 2 and 3 a.m. And so I was having to get up at 2 or 3 a.m. and put my work face on, and then not just my work face, but my work mind. And then once I'd done that sort of work, then you're kind of hyped, and it's difficult to then go back to sleep or fall back into your, routine of, okay, now it's sort of 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. I'm going to wake up and start the day in my normal time zone. So a lot of people are struggling with that sort of, distributed and remote work around the world. But additionally, is that something, you do for free? You love it that much, or it's such a great opportunity, or the work is fantastic, or you're building new skills, or the people are amazing. But you might say, look, I still wouldn't even do that, even or because they're paying me. The other aspect of this is to think about, as we're talking through some questions today, think about your work history. And in an earlier session where I talked about sense making the self, it's useful to have a look at what patterns you might have set up or created. So not just patterns in the type of work you do, but maybe the types of organisations, the type of environment. I know I certainly had a bit of a pattern for the types of leaders that I was working for, on the good and not so good side, and any other preferences you have. And also this word of impulses, like what might motivate you to make a decision. So earlier this year, I had the opportunity to do some leadership development work with a company, and not just a one-off thing, but something in a more ongoing way. And I thought, oh, that'd be great, And I said, no, that'd be great for what? Like, what? Why do you think it would be great? What is it? What is it that's great about this? Why are you excited about this? And I wasn't excited about the organisation. I wasn't excited about the time commitment. I wasn't excited about the rate of pay. I was excited about the type of work that was helping change and develop leaders. And to me, that was, yeah, of course, that's what I'm interested in. That's what excites me. That's what drives me. But just because there's an opportunity over here that might take up a lot more of my time, which would impact other aspects of the life that I have. I care for my mother at certain times and days of the week. I am, engaged in writing a book. I am developing and designing and delivering work for a number of clients every day, every week. So there are some things you've got to think about. Well, no, that's not going to work for me. And so think about the impulses of why you might decide. But if you are thinking about shifting your work, or you want to reconnect with what feels good or right or better, these are some of the questions I want you to think about today. So I repeat, it's not about working for nothing. I'm not advocating that, but noticing where your interest and your motivation and your energy naturally flows to. So the things that you would do for free, and that's the stuff that often reveals what's worth investing in, not what is worth less. So just because a company, a community group, a situation calls on you to work for nothing doesn't mean the work is not worthy. It can often mean that that is the type of organisation it is. Or, as a director and the chair of a number of boards for a number of years, and none of those were paid positions. And I always thought, I want to do this work because in the future I'd like to be on boards of management and have a board portfolio. Well, now, no way, not interested in at all, not interested at all. Did a lot of that work voluntarily, and whether they paid me or not, I went, no, I need to work in the area that I want to work in, attacking this leadership development or changing people or influencing or impacting people. I want to do it in another way, not working in a board of management or on a board of management. So don't or move away from thinking that talking about doing something for free means they don't have the money or you're not worth it. Look at it in terms of, wow, I would do this for free because this is something I would want to invest in. And whether it's investing in yourself and your own interests, great. But if it's also investing in something that might take you somewhere else, no matter where that is. And some unpaid work often contains some of your, what you'd say, some of your sort of strongest features or your most authentic strengths, the things that are very true for you. And if you volunteer for something or obsess over it or you help others with it, these to me are great signals. So catching up with a colleague earlier in the week, and they were just talking about some of the things that they volunteer. So they're involved in the beach lifesaving. They're not a lifesaver. They don't swim out into the ocean and save people, but they absolutely love the environment and the nature of the work, the voluntary work. They're all volunteers. The voluntary work that community does. And so they volunteer for that. They are obsessed about water safety, and they're obsessed about people having an enjoyable and safe time by the sea. So I love seeing how they've moved through some of the ranks too, that they have started taking on more sort of voluntary leadership roles, but not getting not getting caught up. So it's being this consciousness about what are the things that I do want to do for free. But I love watching their, obsession about the community, the nature, the location, and the topic around water safety. It's some stuff that they're really, really, committed to and obsessed with. And just because something feels easy for you doesn't mean that it's not valuable. And I come across this all the time. If I'm mentoring people, we're trying to work out, well, what might they offer to the market or what might they do with their business? They might downplay something and go, oh, that's nothing. I do that. I can do that just sitting with a coffee and it takes me 5 minutes. And it could be something that takes other people a long time to do. So just because something feels easy for us, it doesn't mean that it's not something that could attract, a price or a fee, or even if money is not exchanged, that it's not valued by the people who use it. And I think that, frequently, me included, you included, we overlook some of the stuff that we're very powerful at, some of the things that we're most powerfully contributing to, because it doesn't feel like effort to us. But, all the more reason why if this is something that you can do quite easily, then it could be something that's quite valuable. Recently, I was helping a client with what I'd call a sort of sense-making exercise. We had a big whiteboard. So once again, I love the use of visuals and thinking and mapping and communicating information. And so we're plotting out all the information. And really I just felt like, I'm really only listening to them and writing a few things down. Like this isn't really, is this work, and I was being paid for it. So to me, it felt like, yeah, it's not worth much. Sorry if I'm not that valuable today, writing a few things, and then the group broke up into smaller groups, and I gave them some templates or tasks to work on, and we brought the information back together, and that just went. This has been fantastic. This was such a valuable day. It was such a valuable session for a whole range of reasons. They were able to get away from their regular work. They're able to have someone facilitate or guide them through something. But for me, well, it just felt easy. And so there could be that situation where just because it's easy for you doesn't mean it isn't valuable. And I think because you haven't got, it was a really hard work, or it took a lot of my energy, therefore it was valuable, because the complete opposite can be true as well. You could be doing something that is very, very difficult for you and it is not valued. Ooh, that one cuts, right? You've ever been somewhere where you've been invisible, you've been ignored, you've been belittled, devalued, undervalued, under-acknowledged, any of those sorts of situations where you go, gee, I did this. It was really hard. I would just love a little bit of, I'd just love a little bit of acknowledgement. And if acknowledgement's what you're looking for, then maybe, that could be another reason why you're doing something. Is if you're not looking to do something for free, why are you? We will get onto those questions. And so I'd love you to consider how you can enjoy something and it can be useful, and these things can be there, they can coexist. And I reckon once you do find something that is enjoyable to you and it's a useful thing, then you found that, to me, is where there's some traction. If it's really enjoyable but no one wants it, it's a little bit like the ikigai, the 4 circles, the Japanese way of looking at things in life about, the things that you enjoy and that people can find use from, and it's purposeful and meaningful for you. So I don't think you necessarily need all the 4 of ikigai, but it could be that you found something you do enjoy and there's some usefulness to it. And maybe not the whole thing, maybe not the whole role, maybe not the whole experience, maybe not all of the volunteering is enjoyable. But when you can do that, I think that is where you find some traction. So big tip around what would you do for free is, I reckon, anytime you find something that you've enjoyed and that felt good for you, like make a note of that. Put it in your feel-good files, write that thing down, or take a photo of yourself doing that, going, hey, here I am. There was that photo from Impro Melbourne. There was some mornings they're going to training and workshops, and I went, yeah, this is a great way to spend a Saturday morning. There was a group called Impro Gym, and we would a course, and I was actually paying as a student, but gee, it felt good, and it was a really enjoyable aspect of learning, having community and connection, and feeling like, now I'm doing something. This is good for me. This makes my life more full. So if you can examine it then to find some clues for your work, but also for your life generally, and the design of those things, and you might find out, yeah, it is the tasks. It is the task or tasks, or it is the location, or it is the people, or it's how I feel about myself when I am doing this thing, or it's using the talents and skills I've got that actually make me feel great. Like, these are really good things. If you can come away from an experience and go, yeah, that was a good one. Why? Why did that feel good? And in contrast, you come away from something and go, that was not a good experience. I did not like that. I do not feel energized after that. I'm not saying everything has to make you feel energized, but to be very aware. And you can probably identify this, I know I can, in having conversations or working with particular people. We know that some of those experiences really lift us and kind of liberate us and make us feel light, and I can do anything. And then others, it takes a while to get over. Got to come home and have a bit of a lie down, have a cool drink, do something to kind of cleanse yourself, or recover yourself, and work out what happened there. What was that about? Was there some stuff going on in that environment with those people, with that task, with the way work was being done, that didn't work for me? Did I have to put in too much effort for less reward? Did I not feel good about myself during or after that? Not looking to point blame, but we're trying to examine and make sense of some of those clues. And really, sense making is about picking up a bunch of cues and clues to make sense about what's going on and whether you need to do something about that. So some examples are coming to your mind about what you might need to do. Like, this is the workshop part, or the conversation part, is where are you already noticing that you feel not just a draining feeling, but that feeling of this, I cannot keep doing this task, or this group is not a group I want to hang around with, or I'm doing this for free, but I wouldn't even want to do this if they were paying me. So to find more, uncover more of those motivations. Let's carry on and have a look at some of the other questions I'm posing today about what would you do for free. Of course, you don't need to monetize every passion or interest you have. Sometimes we can have a hobby. I've been a keen plane spotter and aviation geek for many, many, many years. And wow, all the time people are saying, why didn't you, become a plane engineer or pilot, or, air traffic controller? Why do I have to make a career out of this? Can't I just, go and watch some planes? Or can't I just, I'm tracking a Gulfstream plane at the moment. I've watched that it came from Fiji to Melbourne, and then it's gone from Melbourne Airport into the smaller airport next door, Essendon Airport. And so I just was watching a few days ago. I thought, where's that plane now? Is it still flying? No, it's been sitting there for a week or two. Then it's gone back to the international airport here in Melbourne. So I thought, well, what's going on there? Doing a bit of sense making. Why has it gone from the smaller airport to the international one? I thought, I bet that's going to take off somewhere. Beautiful, one of those corporate celebrity jets that's on in TV shows. They sit up there facing each other, having their drinks, and sitting on, white leather seats in the plane, little windows. And so I'm watching this morning. I have a look. Oh, look at that. It's now got a scheduled flight. It's next flying to Honolulu this morning at 10 a.m. So I will be on that, just having a look at what time, notice that it takes off and track it. And then it's just one plane in particular I quite like following. Do I need to get a job and monetize this passion? No. Do I need to work in air traffic control? No. But design around them. So this interest in aviation, again, do I need to work for an aviation company? No. But as long as I have some time where I can do my hobby and be interested in it or use it in my work, so if I can use this as an example, or I can use the metaphors around aviation and flying, but also that I can design my time around them. So sometimes I will go to out near the airport and I'll sit there, and that will be my office for a few hours in my car. If I've got some reading or some work to do, and I think, no, I want to watch some planes take off and land. It's an incredible, engineering feat. And so designing around that is something that's of interest to me. So not every interest becomes a business, but it can still guide your decisions about what you do and where you might do. And so when someone says, oh, will you come to a particular location to speak at a conference, I think, okay, well, let's see, what flights are going there and what sorts of planes are going there, and is that a place I'd like to go? And so that's when I might speak for free, because the opportunity to travel to a particular location could be just all that I need. But if it's something that, no, this is a work-related engagement, you will have to pay me as a professional speaker. But increasingly, I might say I'm doing other work that's being paid. And so therefore, there are some things in my life that I can do for free that I don't need to be paid for some work when I'm being paid for other work. These are the things to trade off and consider, how it might guide your decisions. The sixth question or comment here is that the work that you do for free often shows you what to protect when things get busy. So, when things are really under the pump, and you might find that you're being coerced, or you've been tricked or fooled, or encouraged or asked to volunteer, or you're having to put in and do more. So if things get busy, not only in your own life, but where you're already committed, be sure that you protect the things that you would do for free. So several years ago, I worked at a financial services company, and while that industry wasn't of great interest to me, it's not something I would do for free. But the team that we had working at that time was quite incredible. It was very cohesive, was very social, very communicative. It was very funny. And I went, not that I could turn up for free, but this is the kind of environment I'd turn up for free. If you didn't have to work, if you didn't have to earn a living, you say this is the kind of thing I'd do for free. And I also recall working at a design agency, like an advertising agency, for part-time contracting work for a while. And so I did contributed to creative design strategies and copywriting and coming up with ideas for campaigns. And I went, this is fantastic. Like, what a great way for me to use my creative ways of thinking and my creative skills. Do I need to work in an ad agency for the rest of my life? No. Did I want a full-time job there? No. Did I want to continue working there after a couple of projects finished up? No. I came, I did the work, and I left. But again, it was such a cohesive, particularly what I think the ad agency used to call the pig pen, which was the pen where the main creative people would work. And it was a very cool space, you know, big space, lots of desks around the outside, and I think a work table in the middle, and great music always playing. And that team was very cohesive and collaborative. And there was lots of creativity going on. I went, this is cool. This is good. I would do this work for free. So it highlighted for me that I was using my creative abilities, that I loved being around people who were also creative, that I loved the acknowledgement and respect of each other's differing creative abilities. So we had, you know, a couple of really great illustrators, a couple of great photographers, really great, clever copywriters. And gosh, some of the humor that would bounce across that space throughout the day was the best. I'd say, this is good. This is a great environment. We know when to work and work really hard. And so when things get busy, I've got to make sure there's still space for creativity. There's still space for some humor. There's still space and time for collaboration and working with others. And thinking for yourself, when things get busy, does some of the good stuff get stripped out and you end up with the not pleasant things left on the plate, the things that you don't like? So notice what happens when things get busy, and therefore these are the things I'd like you to prioritise, even when there's no deadline. So to say, no, what's important to me, I know, is opportunity for creativity, free thinking, time for music, interaction with others, you know, collaboration, the making of things. So to me, these are the things we must prioritise, and you must protect them. Because what happens when you don't? Well, you feel drained. You feel like work doesn't have a meaning or purpose. If you're not getting what you need in life, particularly from paid work, then there might be some things that are missing that you say, oh, I want in this job some of the things that I do for free. And that's when it reveals itself to you. Not that you have to do them for free, but the fact that you might removes that motivation of money. It says, these are the things about work that I like. These are the things in my life that I like. And which I've touched on already, ask not just what you do for free, but how you do that and with whom. So I think motivation sits in that bigger context, not just in the task that you have to do. So the work I do around new ways of working, helping businesses think and work in new and better ways, and helping individuals work in better ways. This is a really great activity for you to think about. How does this team work that you like? You know, the ways that it works, which aspects of that do you like, and which aspects of it suck? And I was doing that with a team in a ways of working workshop recently, and they were able to identify that this push towards a deadline, the panicked push to getting something done, and you know, the deadline was never even connected to a client deadline or a client program or a client product. It was usually an internal self-imposed deadline, and it was this panicked push. It was kind of the way that the leader was leading. And I think the culture of that team and the culture of that business was the push, 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 that, you know, thinking that that's an old way of getting people inspired. Come on, let's all get behind this project. And I think the phrase was create the urgency. That was a mantra that many leadership training programs used to have, is that if you can create the urgency in people, that will make them work more or better. No. Urgency is like, so what? It's urgent for you. It's not urgent or important for me. So identifying what would you do in terms of the way that a team or business or organisation is working. And you could look at how are you working at the moment. You might feel like there's no break, or it's just back-to-back meetings all day. Well, that's the way that you're working, and that can change. You don't have to wait for someone to give you permission to do that. But equally, the other part of that statement was not just what you do for free, but how you do it. That is the way, and then with whom. So if we look at some of the aspects of the types of people that we might find ourselves working with, And I think looking back over careers and looking back over your, the places you have worked or the places you have volunteered. So don't just look at work in terms of paid, but looking at the who have you worked with? And that was a good experience where an environment met your needs in terms of being equitable or inclusive or participative, or a culture that made you feel like, yeah, I feel like I'm part of this organisation, or yeah, my values do match here. I don't have to shape shift myself to fit in here, or I don't have to mask or perform so much that I don't fit in here. Because I can certainly, identify and understand those experiences where you have had to shift and shape shift yourself. You have to change yourself too much to fit in somewhere, to play by their rules. You sort of put their values on in the morning and then take those values off in the afternoon. Nah. Not saying that there's going to be a complete match or complete alignment, but it's so much more important to people today to find a place where the values or the way that an organisation works matches, and then the who are the people that are there. Isn't that saying about people don't leave organisations, they leave leaders? And I can, I've certainly left organisations where I've been a volunteer or a contractor or an employee over the years and gone, no, this is not a good match. This is not enhancing me, who I want to be, or I don't like the way they go about, this, whatever this is. So I hope these questions have given you some food for thought. That last one particularly, not just what you do for free, but how and with whom. So these conversations, these sessions have been an opportunity for you to have a think about some topics and make sense of stuff. So particularly in this case, making sense about what inspires you, what motivates you in a bigger picture, not just a particular task, not just a location, not just a leader, but when you look at a whole lot of it together, what is it about that experience of work that you would go, I would do this for free. If I didn't have to work, I would do this for free. I was talking to my neighbour the other day who volunteers at a local thrift shop, an opportunity shop. And she said, I don't need to do this work and I'm not going to stay there. She said the manager has changed recently and it's not as good an experience as it used to be. She said they used to arrive and they would have fun and they would make light of some of the new items that had come in as they were pricing them and putting them on display. And she said, yeah, that vibe has changed. It's not feeling that good anymore. And so she said she doesn't know if she's going to go looking for another opportunity shop, another opportunity shop, or is she going to shift the days and times that she works there, volunteers there. But looking at, no, I wouldn't do this for free has been a really good insight for her. She still also has paid work as well, but to her it's saying my free time's actually precious. Just because I'm looking for some volunteering to enhance life doesn't mean I'll do just anything. And she still wants to have opportunities to learn and develop her skills, and feel like a valuable contributor. But, I don't want to do it for free can really help you identify whether or not this is a good match for you. Go forth, make sense of the things that you're doing, whether you do them for free or not, and that might help you make some choices and best of all, make some decisions in that sense-making way. You can consider what's going on and what do I need to do about it. See you next time.